So do you want to see a more in-depth gunsmith system in the next Ghost Recon game? If so, you are in luck because we're going to be going in-depth with what could possibly be coming to the Ghost Recon Gunsmith in the next Ghost Recon. Hey everyone, my name is Juan Solo with A Squad Gaming, and if this is your first time here on the channel, welcome. It is great to have you. If you enjoy the content, feel free to hit that subscribe button to stay up to date on all of the content surrounding the Ghost Recon franchise. For those of you guys that have been here a time or two, welcome back. So a new and improved in-depth gunsmith system would be an absolute must in the next installment of the Ghost Recon franchise, but to talk about that, we need to quickly go all the way back to where the gunsmith system began back in Ghost Recon Future Soldier. So the gunsmith system first originated in Ghost Recon Future Soldier, and at that time it was a groundbreaking system for weapon customization in the franchise, especially for console games. There were 10 separate categories on each primary weapon that would allow you to customize a number of different attachments for the weapon itself. This included the camo color, optics, triggers, magazines, underbarrels, side rails, barrels, muzzles, stocks, and lastly the gas system. So that last one being a really cool weapon customization feature that I really feel needs to return to the Ghost Recon franchise. Being able to undergas or overgas your weapon to adjust the weapon's rate of fire would be a really cool feature in the next game. It was definitely a balancing act because you needed to balance the weapon based on your personal preferences, so if you overgas the weapon, it will shoot faster, but in turn you're going to have more recoil and vice versa. Moving on to the second iteration of the Gunsmith in Ghost Recon Wildlands, there really wasn't a whole lot of differences other than they removed the option to adjust the gas system. They also separated the camouflage into a separate area in the Gunsmith, but overall it was a very similar system to the Gunsmith that we saw in Future Soldier. Unfortunately, because of that, there really wasn't any innovation in the Gunsmith system itself for those two games. They didn't take what they did in Future Soldier and improve upon and expand upon it for Ghost Recon Wildlands. They pretty much just ported it over and gave us a few more attachments in each category. So now here's where it gets interesting, because the jump from Ghost Recon Wildlands to Ghost Recon Breakpoint, you would think that they would improve upon and expand the gunsmith system for Breakpoint, but that is definitely not the case. At launch, Ghost Recon Breakpoint's gunsmith system was incredibly limited and was a huge step backwards from the gunsmith from Future Soldier and Wildlands. The main reasoning behind this was Ubisoft's plan to implement weapon variants into the game, and these were pre-built specific weapons that you couldn't customize very much but were built off of the base weapon. So instead of customizing the weapon exactly how you wanted from the ground up, you would have to get one of these other weapon variants and then customize it from there rather than having full control. But after a number of updates to Ghost Recon Breakpoint, we got back to the point where we had full control and customization of our weapons, but it still wasn't quite back to what we had in the previous two iterations of the Gunsmith. There were some really cool attachments in Breakpoint that we had not seen in other Ghost Recon games, but some of these attachments were strictly cosmetic and had no real function, which needs to be addressed moving forward into the next Ghost Recon game. So now that we have all of that clarified over the last three iterations of the Gunsmith, this is where we're going to be hopping into what needs to be done in the next version of the Gunsmith system to really allow us full freedom to make the weapons that we want to make. So first things first, we need to have full control over all of the attachment slots on the weapon, and they definitely need to bring back the gas system as a specific attachment that we can adjust and tune on our weapon. So being able to customize the optic, the triggers, the magazines, the underbarrel, the gas systems, side rails, barrels, muzzles, and stocks is an absolute necessity for the next game. And the one thing that I really want to see is them to allow us to put multiple rail attachments and multiple optics on a single weapon. So there are a number of other games that allow you to put multiple rail attachments on your weapon, including laser sights and flashlights, and then also having the ability to put a high-powered scope along with a canted red dot scope on the top rail, so that you're set for all scenarios would be really cool for the weapon customization. Obviously, the developers would have to build the game around having the ability to have working flashlights and lasers as attachments on our weapons, but after the developers added the Darkest Night feature in Ghost Recon Breakpoint, it almost felt pointless because we didn't have flashlights to use on our weapons. This would definitely take a lot of fleshing out with the enemy AI and how they would be able to detect you and react to you while you're using a flashlight and so on, but it's definitely something that would add to the immersion of a Ghost Recon game, and I think a lot of people would enjoy that. Another cool thing to go along with this new Gunsmith would be some sort of a progression system that's built into the Gunsmith itself, Whether that be using certain weapons allows you to unlock certain attachments for the weapon or something along those lines. I know a lot of you would want to be able to have access to every single attachment right from the start of the game, but there definitely needs to be some sort of a progression system involved with the game, or it's going to feel extremely repetitive right from the start. No matter what the game is, it still needs to have something to grind towards. Something to go along with that would be some sort of a weapon proficiency system that allowed you to have faster reloads, better idle sway, recoil control, and other things depending on how much you used a particular weapon, rather than having the breakpoint system where you unlock skill points and then you could stack certain skill points into a weapon system. I think it would be much better suited to have this based around the more you use a weapon, the better you get with said weapon. But going back to the individual attachments, having a wide variety of attachments that work should be the main focus of the developers. Having deployable bipods that actually work in game, possibly having ghillie wraps and other things that we can put on our weapons to go along with the weapon camos. Maybe even have a charm or something like that we can put on our weapon, like a dog tag or a bullet or something. Who knows, maybe that's a little bit too gimmicky, but the more customization options that we have with the weapons, the better off that we will be. Even Call of Duty has implemented its own Gunsmith system, taking a page out of Ghost Recon's playbook, and though it is not a tactical shooter, the broad amount of attachments that you can customize your weapons with in Call of Duty's Gunsmith really puts the Gunsmith from Ghost Recon to shame, and we definitely need to address that in the next game. For those of you that have played Escape from Tarkov, I don't think we will ever have that level of weapon customization in a Ghost Recon game, but in my personal opinion, they do weapon customization better than any other game. Being able to literally swap out and exchange every single mechanical piece on a weapon is extremely fun to do, and it allows for thousands of combinations when it comes to customizing a weapon. I think Ghost Recon could definitely take a page out of Tarkov's playbook, maybe not go all the way full Tarkov and have all of those different attachments on the weapons, but being able to customize pretty in-depthly the weapon attachments on the weapons themselves a little bit closer to in line with how Tarkov works would be really, really cool. Even Ground Branch has done a fantastic job with the weapon customization in their games because it allows you to put attachments exactly where you want to put them when it comes to the rail systems on the weapons themselves. Being able to put a foregrip where you want on the underbarrel rail doesn't sound like a lot, but for those of you out there that are extremely into weapon customization, it is a huge deal. And to go along with that, being able to adjust where you put the optic on the top rail of a weapon is also just as important. So with all of that being said, in Ghost Recon Breakpoint, like we talked about earlier, the developers instituted a weapon variant system into the game to kind of make the gunsmith simpler, but if anything, it did the exact opposite. Having to acquire certain specific weapon variants to have the ability to have certain attachments is a terrible way to go when it comes to the weapon customization system in a video game. But with that being said, I would not be against a weapon variant system if they gave the control to the players. So for instance, in the game, have a way for people to share specific weapon variants that they have built, upload them so that people can see them and also see the list of attachments and camouflages so that we can kit out our weapons the same way. It's not something crucial, but I think it would be a pretty cool feature to have in the next Ghost Recon game. We could definitely go on and on talking about what we want to see in the next iteration of the Gunsmith and Ghost Recon, but that is where I'm going to wrap up the video today. Let me know your thoughts on all of this down below in the comments. Do you want to see a more in-depth weapon customization system more in line with Escape from Tarkov, or do you want to see a slightly expanded version of the Gunsmith that we currently have in Ghost Recon? Let me know all of those thoughts down below. But like I said, that is all for the video. If you enjoyed it, you are excited about the possibility of a new Gunsmith system coming to the next Ghost Recon, make sure to drop a like on the video and also subscribe if you are new to stay up to date on all content surrounding the Ghost Recon franchise here on the channel moving forward. But that is all for now. Thank you all so much for watching, and I will catch you guys later. Peace out.